Welcome everybody to Bugbears and Brews. My name's Brian, and today we're recapping session 13 of our Tomb of Annihilation campaign. So it's been a little bit because for me recording because I was sick. It was the holidays, family stuff, all sorts of things going on there. We did a couple sessions, two of them via Skype and Roll20 Fantasy Grounds, mainly because I was sick, and then we also had some bad weather, bad road conditions, that kind of stuff there. And then we missed a session altogether just due to the holidays in between Christmas and New Year. I know Mark and I talked and we couldn't quite remember if this was session 13 or 14, and it is doing a recount there. It is session 14 or 13, session 13. And I'm drinking a lovely beer because why the hell not? And I opened it with the super fancy Hand of the King bottle opener that Anthony got us for Christmas. I think each of us got one of those there. So this started off with you guys in the super great old lost city of Omu. You guys just got your asses relatively kicked by Yanti. You did wind up killing the scout group that you encountered, but they definitely did some good damage to Fitz. I know was down really low. I think Urk took some good damage too. But you did get a little bit of information from the Yanti, specifically like Raz in the Sea seems to be overseeing the Yanti, and he's the, if you remember Raz, he's the guy that was unleashed a horde of undead in the Chalt area, so he went from horde of undead person to Yanti person, who knows? But the Yanti also said, you know what, we also killed some red wizards not that far down the way. I guess, give you a little bit of information, why the hell not, right? So you guys, that was the next area you decided to check out, was heading to the red wizards. And you got down to this walled compound. Seemed like it'd be a pretty safe place to set up shop and relax from a distance, but as you guys got closer, you could see like remnants of a battle. There was all sorts of charred bodies hanging around, and there was a pack of dogs eating one of the bodies. Some of the bodies were half-eaten. Some of them were, like all of them were charred, but some were half-eaten. Some were charred and half-eaten. And then there was still smoke rolling out of the building there. So the attack was somewhat relatively recent enough that smoke would still be going on with whatever was being burnt out. I think Leorin wound up throwing a rock at the dogs, and there was a little bit of a quick stare down with the dogs, but eventually the dogs decided, you guys are, there was, I think, actually one more of you guys than there was the dogs, and you guys are much bigger, and so they decided discretion's a better part of valor and left. From there, took a look around at the surrounding area. There was a symbol on the wall done in ash, and the symbol you guys found out was Dindar, the night serpent, and the night serpent was eating the world or engulfing the world or something along those lines there. Looking over the bodies, there was nothing really of much use, but you did confirm that the dead bodies did belong to Red Wizards of Thay. I think you found 6 total. And inside the building, while there wasn't anything much for valuables and that kind of stuff there, you did find somebody actually alive in the rubble. You pulled him out, saved him. His name is Orvix, and he is part of the Red Wizards troop. He is not a Red Wizard himself. He is a Thayan, but he's not a Red Wizard. He is an interpreter. He's fluent in Grung and Oldo Muin, so that's why they brought him along here. He let you guys know he's not sure how long he's been underneath that rubble. He's not sure how long he's been, here since the attack and all that kind of stuff there. He mentioned that there was some explosions, and that what's caused part of the building to collapse, and he was trapped underneath the rubble there. And let's see here, what else did he let you guys know? They were there for about 2 days investigating the shrines. There's 9 shrines laying around the city of Omu. They were kind of scouting for them, trying to gather bits of story. He knew the location of 2 of them. They were just starting their initial scouting and that kind of stuff when they were attacked. he couldn't identify any of the bodies that were hanging around, so he doesn't know whether or not powerful red wizards died or normal red wizards or what. He did let you guys know that there was 19 folks, yeah, 19 altogether in his travel group. So he was one. There was 6 dead people. Presumably, those were all red wizards from what you could see, and then that left some hired muscle and a couple other red wizards still. So you don't know the ratio of hired muscle to red wizard. He doesn't quite remember exactly, partly because his brain's a little frazzled. He's probably in a little bit of a shock here. But you guys really harassed him. Like, yeah, asked him a lot of questions before you even decided. I will say, I think Barlow handed him water immediately, which was good. Um, Eventually, Fitz and Leorn tossed him some healing, but before the healing was given out, you guys were like, hey, who's this dead guy over here? Bringing over a charred, possibly half-eaten friend of his, to this guy that's in shock, and showed him very little compassion. But all said and done there, he wasn't able to give you a whole lot of information about who was dead and that kind of stuff there. Thought it was kind of funny that you guys thought I was kind of playing him as an asshole versus somebody who just might be in some sort of shock and recovering from things and doesn't want to look at possibly friends dead. From there, you guys went to the closest shrine, and this one here was, I think, to Kabazan. Yeah, Kabazan, I think, is who this one was to. And looking this over, Kabazan is the frog god. And there was this murky pool, and there was a statue of a frog with its eyes kind of raising up and its mouth somewhat open. As you guys took a look, the mouth had a key, and beyond that murky pool was the actual shrine itself. Doors were closed. Doors actually looked pretty good for being an old deserted city. It was surrounded by a hedgerow of spikiness. Not that you guys couldn't get through there, but eventually you guys would discover that it was locked. No, you guys figured that out later on. So, but getting the key there, Anthony, playing Sai, our monk, decided to use some Step of the Wind and run and dash over all the murkiness. Jump clear across, and that worked out great. And he had I don't recall if he had a rope tied to him or not. No, he did not have a rope tied to him. Sorry, I know you guys talked about it, and he thought it'd hinder him too much. And he went to jump back, and that's when it attacked. It being the Froghemoth. Definitely a challenging fight. You guys knew there was going to be something down there. You guys saw ice stalks, that kind of stuff there, but you thought not touching the water, you could get by. But it noticing somebody jumping right above it and seeing tasty morsels, it decided it's going to try to attack. So it started off grappled Anthony. I think it did like 27 or something damage on the first hit. Really hard when I saw that, and I was like, oh man, this is not going to go well. You guys are going to die. You didn't die. There was actually no deaths. Yeah, I mean, when it hit people very hard. You guys, in the beginning, you started treating it like with kids' gloves. Like, people were throwing cantrips out there, and I was like, guys, come on. This thing had a health pool of nearly like 200 hit points. You guys don't know that. But then you're like, cantrip. Eventually, other people did start slinging actual spells, and that made me really happy, because this thing, if you guys didn't step up your game, would have annihilated a couple of you for sure. Surprisingly, the melee actually wound up doing the most damage in this fight. Like the physical fighters. I shouldn't say melee, because I think Tim, playing Auric, he did some good damage with his bow. Anthony landed a crit with a dart early on, and it wound up being like one of our strongest hits for quite a while, because the magic users kept on using fire and fire spells, thinking, oh, we'll dry it out, not realizing that, hey, it's kind of got this like slimy coating and a little bit of resistance to fire there. Let's see here. What else? Who else did? eventually somebody hit it with a lightning spell. I think Aaron playing Carr, I think tossed a lightning bolt at it, and even though it didn't look to do a whole lot of damage to the beast, it did kind of shock its system, and it made it look like it was like um, kind of freaking out there, and so that really helped because it took away one of its attacks, it took away its reaction, it's halved its speed. That really helped there, and I meta wise, I did give it to you guys, after trying to like explain it to you guys, thought I was throwing you a bone. I was like, oh, here's the not here. I didn't show you the actual page, but I kind of read you what it said there. Which I guess I probably shouldn't have done, but oh well. Let's see. Oh, and when Anthony was grappled early on, Don playing Navarre made Anthony look like a big pile of spiky rubble, and so the Froghemoth went to go throw Sai, and Carr already had queued up a reaction to cast Levitate on Sai if anything went awry there. So even though he went flying and almost went right into Fitz, he then floated up into the air right above Fitz and then gently landed down there, or else he would have been in quite a living missile. Fitz got down and dirty up front, didn't take nearly as much damage as Anthony did. But Auric, other Tim playing Auric, started lighting this thing up with arrows, and while it's all good, he was standing right at the edge of the pool, and he got gulped, he got num-nummed, and that's when a lot of damage happened, and he would have actually died. He was in this creature's mouth. People are slinging spells trying to get him out, and he's in this thing's mouth. He lands a killing blow on it, but he lands a killing blow from the interior side, but he's still in this thing because he uses actions to attack versus escape. And so the creature, even though it's dead, the acid damage hits Auric and he goes down. So if Auric was not a half-orc, Auric would have been dead because Auric wound up surviving thanks to his relentless endurance or whatever. I think that's what it is that the half-orcs get, that the first time they take lethal damage, they go down to 1 versus nothing there. So he was able to luckily escape this falling behemoth's, as its weight's starting to crush in on him. He's able to escape and weasel out of there before he died. Okay, that said, that done, you guys grab this key, you head on over to the temple, you take a look around, and it's probably like a 20-foot gap down. So the floor goes down like 20 feet. There's the floor went down 30 feet. There's spikes all over the place, all over the floor, and then there's all these planks hanging around the walls, so you can kind of play like a Frogger across the planks there. There's all these stone frog statues with different, different frog tongues sticking out and all over the place there. And then across it, like the 20-foot gap that I keep on referring to versus the 30-foot down, there is a cube, stone cube, very small, sitting on a pedestal. The Orin jumps over and grabs it. Door slams shut. That's where we stop. So I did tell you guys homework. Make sure you level up to level 6. Don't actively have a level 6, but have a level 6 prepared. You're not level 6 now. Have a level 6 prepared. There. How about that? I know there was a little bit of guff, like, oh, I wouldn't have walked into the room. I didn't tell you to walk into the room and then set off the trap. This was very close to the end of the night, so I want to kind of set up the scene. And so I said, hey, you guys open this, because I wasn't going to actively guide you into a trap. So I said, hey, here's this. You open this up, explain the scenario, and then you guys did a little bit of talking. And I figured that's where we're going to just stop and, kind of work out the puzzle. Is it a trap? Is it not a trap? How do we get safely across? That kind of stuff. When Jose playing Leorn's like, I pop my wings. I go over there. That's great. He's looking at it. He's looking at everybody at the table, and he's like, I grab it. So, like I said, I know there's some people kind of complaining to me afterwards, like, I wouldn't have been in that room. Well, I put you in the room because I didn't expect you guys to immediately set out the trap. I expect you to assess the situation first. So, sorry, it's the way it's going to roll. Trap time! Talk to you guys on Wednesday. Bye.